So you think your computer's cool with its 150 FPS and Doom. Maybe it is, but how does it fare when you roll 7,000 wheels of cheese down a hill? Stress testing with IDA and Furmark is for chumps compared to exploiting hilarious features of popular game engines. You see, every once in a while, a video comes out of someone doing something silly in a video game that looks rather impressive while completely crippling their computer's performance. We've got examples like the classic 3,000 barrel explosion in Crysis 1, the previously mentioned thousands of cheese wheels rolling down a hill in Skyrim, tons of TNT altering the landscape of the map in Minecraft, and most recently, a huge amount of nuke mines going off in Fallout 4. They're fun because of the insane amount of physics events usually cause computers of mere mortals to figuratively melt. But we here at Linus Tech Tips have a literal warehouse of high-end hardware. So, equipped with a 6850K, a couple of NVIDIA $1,200 Titan XP graphics cards, and a 10-core Extreme Edition 6950X, let's see if we can hold these beasts off.
Intel's Skull Canyon Nook features a 6th generation Core i7 processor and Thunderbolt 3. You can learn more at the link in the video description.
First things first, let's start with test subject number 1, which is what I'm calling our first test bench. There isn't going to be much changes, but still. It's got a 5820K for its processor, which is cooled by a big dual rad, and we have a Titan XP along with 32 gigs of RAM. So it's a ridiculously high-end system already, and we'll be upgrading it later on. Moving on down from here, we're following the HDMI cable all the way down to the HDMI splitter. As you can see, we have 3 cables here because I need to see what's going on and we need to record it. So one of these cables comes up to our Avio 4K Epiphan capture card, and that goes into this laptop, which will be capturing the footage so we can show that to you guys on the green screen. And then if we rotate a little bit, I have my own monitor that I can see off to the side. So I edited the island map in Crysis 3 to add like 3,500 explosive barrels, I think it is. Right now in Fraps, I'm getting about 60 to 70 FPS, but it does feel a little sluggish. You can see all these barrels floating in the air here. Now, if I happened to bump into one of them, that would start a cascading physics event similar to how dominoes work, but because there's so many of them, it's going to cause the computer to have some problems. So let's try this. I'm just going to bump into the barrel. Oh. And you can see I'm just kind of like sliding around here, and physics events are repeating, so it's teleporting me back close to the barrels, hurting me a little bit, moving all the barrels by a chunk, and then teleporting me back. So running into the barrels is actually worse than blowing them up, which is kind of funny. So let's blow them up. So begin the Fraps benchmark and fire the bullet. You can see the shell on the right side of the gun actually lags as it's coming out. And then as the explosion happens, you'll notice that there's a little bit of repetition in style. That's because each one of the barrels is blowing up the same way as all the other barrels. There's an insane amount of things just flying around the screen right now. And you can see them moving in chunks. And you can actually notice that the different physics events are being updated at different times because, as Big Luke is pointing at right now, the barrel explosions are all happening at a faster rate than the barrel fragments are flying away from them. And you can see the water moving at its own rate as well. And now that the explosions are all done, the fragments from the barrels are starting to move at a much higher rate. The overall frame rate of the computer is picking up, so we're at about 24 FPS right now. There is still a lot of stuff flying around. Again, I can move somewhat okay. It is very chunky, but the swaying movement of my gun on the screen is actually totally fine. The only problem is my actual movement across the map. And there's still a huge amount of barrel fragments in the air. Now, if we can get over to the pile of where the barrels are, yeah, here we go. You can see that there's just a huge amount of tops and bottoms of barrels. This is what I was talking about, how it kind of multiplies the amount of things that are in the scene. If I bump into them, I even judder and get hurt and will probably eventually die, and the game's gonna lag out a little bit as all the barrels kind of move themselves. Anyways, this was cool. Move on to the next one. For our next experiment, we will need Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Find your favorite hill or mountainside, stand up on it, save your game so you can come back to it more easily because your computer may crash. Open up your console by pressing one of the buttons in the top left-hand-ish corner of your computer, also known as tilde. And now that we have unlocked the power of the console, we will summon our wheels of cheese. You will do this by typing in player.place at me space 00064B36. Just think of it as our evil incantation. Then we will put in the amount that we want to summon. In this case, 1,000, because we haven't summoned any yet, so we're not super worried about the performance effects. We will press enter. You will see cheese appear on the screen, but not much happen. You then need to lower the console by pressing the tilde button, and then all of the cheese. But that is not enough. We have not seen a major performance impact on the fraps number in the lower corner, so we must summon more. Press the tilde key again, press the up arrow key to bring back our previous incantation. Press the enter button again, because we want 1,000 more wheels of cheese. Press the tilde button for it to go away, and whoa, more cheese is summoned. Let's move up to 6,000. This is usually where I start having problems. 6,000, 6,500 is a pretty bad time in terms of how the computer is going to be able to manage things. You can see some of the last bits of cheese that are coming from my most recent incantation are still trickling down the hill because everything's just going so slowly at this point. So we're now sitting about 4 or 5 FPS, time to be relentless. Oh, nope. We have apparently been relentless enough. The computer is done. There will be no more cheese summoning today, sir. So next up we have Fallout 4, where we're going to throw down, well, the original plan was 5,000 nuke mines. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do right now is just save the game, new save file, and then load it just to kind of make sure that everything's good, because I do need to run this test twice. Okay, oh dear, that doesn't look good at all. I'm pretty sure every time I load the save files, okay, yeah. I don't know what it's doing now. Hopefully it's gonna work. Apparently every time that I load the save game with my 500 mines laid down, it explodes. So we're gonna pretend that I wasn't going to do this benchmark, and we're gonna move on to Minecraft. Our plan here is to suddenly and drastically change a part of the map. We're going to do that with 1,000 blocks of TNT in a 10 by 10 by 10 column going straight down into the earth. Man, this is actually surprisingly easy with creative mode. I've never really played creative mode much. And just as a note, you will need flint. What? Oh, okay, I screwed up. Pull up the flint again, right click. There we go. Then I'm gonna, oh God, fly away, please. And we're gonna watch it explode. Oh my freaking goodness. That didn't hurt the computer that much. We only went down to about 16 FPS minimum, and you can see just how cool that was. We created this like massive, well, okay, we opened up a massive cave system that was already here, and we made this like huge waterfall, which was actually just a river before. Now the river leads to this giant waterfall that goes into the cave system. That looks super cool, and the computer actually dealt with it pretty well. Okay, so I had all of that prepared ahead of time, but what I don't know is if upgrading the hardware from here by adding another 2 CPU cores and another video card will let us push further. So let's swap hardware to a 6950X and add in another Titan XP and try all those tests again, rapid fire. We're gonna drop in here, hit it with some flint, go back up, oh geez, there we go, and watch as it goes down, all the way down to 3 FPS, and it completely destroyed everything. Actually, oh yeah, it took a sec there to load the map. I don't think I would say that that performed any better than the previous one, to the point where I might actually say it performed worse. 1,000 wheels of cheese, fly down the mountain. 2,000 wheels of cheese, fly down the mountain. 6,000 wheels of cheese, and we're now dropping down to about 6 FPS. We're getting a little bit lower than before. So test subject number 2 just aired out at about 7,000 wheels of cheese. That is worse than test subject number 1, but I don't know how much stock I would take in that, as test subject number 1 usually was airing out at about 6,500 wheels of cheese. Okay, so this is the only one that we're actually running fraps for. And it begins, you can see the shell lagging just as before. All right, so that was actually a pretty huge improvement. We went from 6.4 to 8.542 FPS. That's pretty significant when you're at that low of a number. So if your use case for your computer is constantly staring at 3,500 barrels exploding in Crysis 1, I would definitely recommend 2 Titan X's and a 6950X. But if not, you probably don't have to go that hardcore in terms of hardware. I know this was a ridiculously silly video, but I had fun. I hope you did as well. If you liked it, like it and get subscribed and all that kind of stuff. And if you're like, this video is useless and adds nothing to the overall conversation, and you should be more intellectual about your videos, and this was terrible, you can hit the dislike button, that would be fine. Check out Amazon in the description down below if this somehow inspired you to buy something. Also, check out the link in the description down below to find a shirt. We have some cool Linus Media Group shirts that you can pick up. Watch this video, which is our review announcement video thing on the 6950X, where we discuss how ridiculously expensive it is, because holy crap.